Hello my friends, I'm Jimmy Rees and I've partnered with Gumtree to launch this amazing new digital storybook to help parents and their kids learn the value of money and to care for the environment. It's called Ollie and the Spectral Spectacles. So, let's start the story. Chapter 1. Ollie Everett stepped up in front of the class, his invention in hand. This one would work. It had to. What have you got for us this time, Ollie? Mrs. Shift said warily. She knew all too well what usually happened when Ollie presented one of his creations. In fact, her right eyebrow was still growing back from last time. Ollie placed his invention down on the table and whipped off the cloth, like a magician revealing his ultimate trick. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my science project, the automatic egg scrambler. The class was silent. Ollie cleared his throat. With this amazing apparatus, breakfast becomes a breeze. Just place the eggs in like so. Ollie fed 3 eggs into the funnel of the machine. Press the scramble button here, Ollie continued, and then you have perfectly scrambled eggs before you can say baked beans on toast. The machine whirred. Ollie smiled. It was working. A few of his classmates were really starting to look interested now. Suddenly, smoke started to pour out of the funnel. The machine rattled and sparked. Ollie frantically pushed buttons to get it back on track. Ollie, shut it off, Mrs. Shift said. This is just part of the usual process. It gives it a nice smoky flavour, Ollie said, sweat pouring down his forehead. With an almighty bang, the top popped off the machine. Egg yolks and crumbled shells burst out and landed all over the front row of the class. Uh-oh. Macy Brown started to cry. A couple of the boys started flinging the yolk at each other. All right, that's enough, Mrs. Shift bellowed, her fiery eyes locked on Ollie. Uh-oh. That's it, Ollie. No more of your inventions in class. I'm failing you for this project. Ollie's head drooped. Oh, he knew he should have gone for the automatic toast slicer. Chapter 2. Ollie sat behind the school auditorium with his invention, looking at the wires to see what went wrong. How did Grandad make this look so easy? He said, exasperated. A cloud must have been passing overhead because a shadow fell over the machine, making it hard to see. Ollie turned around and gulped. That's no cloud. Standing over him was Brock Auger. He might have been the same age as Ollie, but he was easily twice Ollie's size. He played rugby, always seemed to be snarling, and most importantly, he did not like Ollie. Nice work today, Ollie, Brock said with a snarl. Thanks, Brock. I think there might have been a problem with the egg beater. You got egg on me, you know. Did I? Gosh, sorry, Brock. Quick as a cobra, Brock reached out and grabbed the scrambler. Ollie tried to grab it off him, but Brock held it out of reach. Ollie made one final attempt to lunge for it, but Brock pulled it away. Ollie went sprawling face first into the ground, his glasses shattering. Could this day get any worse? Chapter 3. Cutlery clinked on dinner plates as the Everett family tucked into their Thursday night lasagna. I like lasagna. Ollie sat opposite his little sister Greta, with his dad Edward at the head of the table. So I really think this novel is going to be the one, Edward said. Edward spent his days in the den trying to write a best-selling novel. He'd written over 20 books, without much luck over the years, but he never lost hope. How was your day, Ollie? Not great. I tripped over and broke my glasses, Ollie said. What? That's terrible. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm all good. No such luck for my glasses, though. Oh, Ollie, I'll take these in to get fixed tomorrow. In the meantime, I think I saw a pair of glasses in the den with your grandfather's old things. They might work for you. Oh, thanks, Dad. Greta looked up from her drawing, a dragon with laser cannons, and looked at Edward. I hope you haven't forgotten your promise, Dad. Which one was that, sweetie? Dad, we're supposed to go to Calamity Canyon this weekend. I want to go on the Typhoon's Revenge. Oh, sweetie. Edward looked down at his plate. I'm so sorry, but we might have to take a rain check on Calamity Canyon. Money's a bit tight right now, plus repairing glasses can be a bit expensive. Greta sighed and looked down at her plate. I'm finished. Can I go up to my room? Sure, honey. Greta, I'm sorry, Ollie said. Greta picked up her papers and pencils and went upstairs. Well, turns out this day could get even worse still. Chapter 4. Ollie flicked the light switch. Nothing. The darkness of the den sprawled out before him like the gaping mouth of a beast. He reached into the drawers beside the door and felt around. Bingo! The torch. He flicked it on and used the beam of light to scan the darkness. Creeping forward, he arrived at the shelf at the opposite side of the room. He cast the light over it, seeing each level of the shelf overflowing with cogs, sprigs, gizmos, gadgets and contraptions. Filled his belly with excitement. The torch landed on a framed picture of his grandfather, Augustus Everett, inventor extraordinaire, holding his award for lifetime achievement from the Guild of Inventors. Ollie smiled despite the darkness around him. He shone his torch over the rest of the shelf, seeing super straws, hamster helmets, and tornado globes. Just 3 of the inventions that had made Ollie's grandfather one of the most beloved men in town. Eventually, the torch landed on an old glasses case. Aha! Ollie opened them up and pulled out a pair of green-rimmed glasses with perfectly polished lenses. They sure did look cool, but would they work? Ollie put on the specs and looked around. He could see perfectly. Maybe he was like his grandfather after all. He trained his eyes on an old clock on the shelf to see if he could read the time. Then something strange happened. The clock started to shine with a ghostly red aura. The numbers glowed green and pulsated with each tick of the clock. The hands glowed bright purple and began to tick faster and faster. Ollie screamed and pulled the glasses off. Ah! The clock went back to normal. His eyes still on the clock, he backed out of the room. He rubbed his eyes and put the glasses back on, looking around the hallway. Everything looked normal. No glowing stuff. Must have been an hallucination. Ollie made a mental note to lay off the lemonade at dinner. Chapter 5. Though his new glasses seemed to be working, with no more curious incidents, Ollie's walk to school was a sombre one. He usually walked with Greta, but she didn't want to talk to him after he ruined her trip to Calamity Canyon. As he walked past the Johnsons' house, he noticed a bunch of stuff out on the street. Must be clearing out some old things before their move, Ollie thought. He remembered how his grandfather hated people tossing perfectly good items like this out on the street. Why send something to landfill when you could use it to create something amazing? In the pile, it looked like there was a pedestal fan, some baking stuff, an exercise bike. Then it happened again. It was no hallucination, no trick of the light. The glowing auras were back. Ollie stood dumbfounded on the streets as the hazy, colourful auras crept out of each item in the pile. Purple tendrils snaked from the pedestal fan to the baking equipment. The spoons seemed to levitate towards the blades of the fans and merge with them. And the fan whirred, casting out bright pink sparks. The energy seemed to be telling him what could be done with the old objects. He took the glasses off and everything was back to normal. So that was it. It was the glasses. He put the glasses back on and suddenly he knew what to do. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. Chapter 6. Ollie crouched behind the bushes with his new invention. He never would have thought of this before, but it was perfect. The glasses seemed to tell him exactly what an item could be used for and how it could be combined with something else to transform it into something amazing. He knew it was weird, but he wasn't going to question it. This was the best invention he'd ever made. It was creative, unique, and best of all, it actually worked. He had attached the series of spoons from the baking set to the fan motor, and by clicking the on button, they spun around like a mechanical catapult. Peeking over the bush, Ollie saw Brock trudging towards his class, his headphones blasting music in his ears. Ollie grinned. "Are you ready for this, Brock?" He loaded an egg into the catapult and took aim. His finger hovered on the on button and a hand pulled him back and he tumbled to the ground. "I don't think you want to do that, Ollie," the figure said, standing over him. Ollie scrambled up and saw his classmate Emma Truscott with her arms crossed. What do you mean? I mean, getting back at Brock isn't going to solve anything. I know. I just thought it would be fun. It's a great invention, Ollie, but don't you think you could be doing something more useful with the talent than throwing eggs at bullies? Like what? Well, my dad's a mechanic. He takes second-hand cars and makes them even better and then sells them for more money all the time. I reckon you could do something like this with the stuff that you make. I could sell this stuff for money? Ollie pictured Greta's downtrodden face at the dinner table last night. How do I get started? Well, I think you need my help. What? I saw you putting this together. You're great at the ideas, Ollie, but your handiwork needs some work. Ollie sighed. Well, that was the truth. Have you got any more stuff your family doesn't use? Emma asked. Ollie thought for a second. Yeah, I have some stuff that might work. Let's go. Chapter 7. Ollie and Emma had set themselves up in Ollie's garage. It was packed to the brim with stuff that the Everetts didn't really use anymore. An exercise ball, a bass guitar, a surfboard, a power drill, some dining chairs, a croquet mallet, a water pistol, a set of golf clubs, a chest of drawers. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. In the middle of the space, Ollie had drawn a long horizontal bar to map out their progress towards their goal. 4 tickets to Calamity Canyon. Right now, there was 0 progress, but that was all about to change. All right, so how do these things work? Emma said. Well, I don't know exactly. All I know is that I put them on and... Ollie put the glasses on and his eyes widened at the storm of swirling colours exploding out of the objects. Ghostly tentacles grew out from each object and started linking pieces together. The dust on a chest of drawers drifted away like glitter in the breeze to reveal a good-as-new piece of furniture underneath. The bass guitar's strings glowed white-hot and musical notes pulsated out of them. Ollie took the glasses off. I just see the potential of everything around me. What does it look like? It's almost like the objects are telling me that they still have life in them. It's this weird energy. It's there. But when I reach out to touch it, my hand goes right through. I've got it. Got what? Said Ollie. The name for the glasses. I didn't realise they needed one. Come on, Ollie. Something this cool definitely needs a name. And these babies are called the Spectral Spectacles. Spectral. It means like ghostly. Not there. All right, it works for me. Now let's get to work. Tell me what you see and I'll do the hard part, putting everything together. Ollie put the glasses back on. Okay, take the surfboard and that old tent. Chapter 8. Edward Everett's fingers were on fire. Well, not literally, but it felt like they were with how fast he was typing. This was genius. Gold! This was the best novel ever written. He was going to sell 1 million copies. He was going to be the best author of all time. He was going to rule the world. Hey, Dad! He turned to see Ollie and one of his classmates standing behind him, grins on their faces. Hey, buddy. Hey, Emma. Good to see you. Can you come out to the backyard for a second, Mr. Everett? Emma said. Sure. Edward wasn't sure what to expect, but he didn't expect this. Sitting on the lawn were 3 large objects that seemed familiar, but he couldn't place where he knew them from. There was a surfboard with a sail jutting out the top of it and a pedestal fan secured behind the sail. There was a bass guitar with a portable speaker attached to the body and what looked to be just a lovely chest of drawers. Check these out, Dad. This one's the Auto Windsurfer 5000. It creates its own wind current to give you automatic motion. And this one is the portable Bassmaster. It's a bass guitar with an amplifier built in so you can have a concert wherever you can go. And finally, this one just looks like a chest of drawers, Edward said. Yeah, that's right, said Emma. We just gave it a bit of a polish up and this one should be good enough to sell as is. Perfect for someone styling their home who wants to give it a bit of a retro feel, Ollie said. Can you believe we were going to throw this away? This is incredible. So you found all this in the garage? Edward said. Yep, plus a few parts that the Johnsons were throwing away, Ollie said. Like Grandpa always said, if you throw something away, you might be throwing away an invention. And now we need your help to sell this stuff, Emma said. Guys, I mean, this is great stuff, but I'm not sure if... Trust us, Mr. Everett, said Emma. My dad sells old stuff on Gumtree all the time. People love it. Plus, it's great for the environment. Less stuff winds up in landfill. Well, okay, I'll take a few pictures. After about half an hour, Edward, Ollie and Emma had all 3 items for sale online. And lo and behold, they had replies to each ad within minutes. Well, I'll be damned, you guys were right. I'll put that money in your allowance, Ollie. Great work. Ollie and Greta beamed. They raced out to the garage to update the whiteboard. Looked like they just needed one more sale to get to Calamity Canyon. Chapter 9. Hank Fario growled as he flicked the switch on his invention. Nothing. Again. The knife was supposed to be automatically spreading butter on the bread by now, but it just sat there, doing nothing. Hank roared and he threw the device across the room, where it crashed into the pile of his other failed inventions from that week, including the peanut butter decruncher and the rollerblade gloves. Sound weird? He started browsing his computer, looking for a part he needed for his next contraption. But then he saw something that caught his eye. An automatic windsurfing board? Just the kind of invention he longed to make. Who posted this? He had to know. Edward Everett. Now that's a name he knew well. Hank put on his coat and walked out of his basement. It was time for a visit to an old family friend. Ooh. Chapter 10. After he said goodbye to Emma for the day, Ollie came into the living room to see his dad having tea with a strange, gaunt man with a lean face and a curled moustache. Ollie, this is Hank Fario. He's an inventor that used to work with your grandfather, Edward said. Pleased to meet you, Ollie, Hank said. You're a spitting image of your grandfather, especially with his old glasses on. I was just telling Hank about how you're an inventor too, Ollie, Edward said. He was very impressed with some of your inventions. You definitely have your grandfather's spark, Ollie. Congratulations. It's quite a gift. Edward looked at his watch. Oh, damn. Ollie, we need to get to the optometrist. Your new glasses are ready. Actually, Dad, these glasses work fine. We don't even know if they're your prescription. Come on, give them here. We got to go. Ignoring Ollie's protests, Edward put the glasses down on the coffee table. So sorry, Hank. We have to take off, Edward said. No worries at all, Hank said. It's been a lovely visit. Uh-oh. Chapter 11. Hank walked out into the cold air, pulling his coat around him tight. He reached into his pocket and felt the metallic rims of the glasses. Oh no. At last he had them. For years he worked in the same lab as Augustus Everett, and for years he was second best. His inventions failed, while invention after invention from Augustus became incredible nationwide successes. The automatic potato masher, the robotic ice cube tray, the smellogram. Every single Augustus Everett invention was a smash hit, and Hank never had so much of a shred of success. He spent years trying to figure out Augustus's genius, until one day, one of the last days they worked together, he tried on Augustus's glasses, and it became clear. He saw the world the way Augustus did. Pieces came together. Objects revealed their hidden value. He could see how people could use objects in the future. All along, it was the glasses. As soon as Hank saw those glasses at the Everett house that day, he knew he had to have them, and then Edward handed them to him on a silver platter. He pulled them out and put them on, and the world exploded in colour. Uh-oh, he's got the glasses. Chapter 12. Ollie ripped out the sofa cushion frantically and looked at the treasure trove beneath. A few coins, a lot of lint, but no spectral spectacles. Where on earth did they go? They just vanished into thin air. Sure, his new glasses worked, but they didn't do what the spectral spectacles could do. "What are you looking for, Ollie?" Edward asked. "The Grandad's spectacles. I can't find them anywhere." "Why do you need those? Are your new glasses okay?" "Yeah, they're great, thanks, Dad, but Grandad's were special." "Well, I haven't seen them since Hank was over, but if they turn up, I'll let you know." With that, Edward went back to the den to write. Ollie pulled up another couch cushion. He zipped it open and dove inside the cover to see what was there. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Chapter 13. The following Thursday, Ollie and Emma sat in the garage after school, surrounded by the Everett's old things and the tantalisingly so close to being complete progress tracker on the whiteboard. "Come on, Ollie, you can still invent. I've seen you create great stuff before the glasses, and I bet you can still do it. Just try," Emma said. Ollie looked at an old cricket bat and squinted as hard as he could. He tried to imagine a different use for it, a different way of looking at it. He turned it upside down and inside out in his mind. He looked at it from every possible dimension and nothing. "Emma, I can't. I've lost it," Ollie said, slumping to the ground. Emma sat down beside him and put her hand on his shoulder. Emma sighed. "We were so close," she said. Ollie looked out the garage window at Greta, playing by herself in the yard. Ollie, you might want to look at this," Emma said from behind him. She pulled out her laptop and open on her screen was the Guild of Inventors homepage. Smiling out from the screen underneath a headline reading "Best New Invention" was a familiar lean face with a curled moustache. It was Hank Fario. And he was wearing the Spectral Spectacles. Dun dun dun! Chapter 14. Ollie and Emma arrived at the Guild of Inventors headquarters where Hank was about to accept his award for Best New Invention. "Ollie, are you sure you want to do this?" "Yep, 100% sure. I'm going to march in there and expose him for the thief he is in front of the whole guild." Emma nodded sternly. It may not have been the perfect plan, but she knew how much those specs meant to Ollie. Ollie and Emma burst through the guild doors, which opened directly into the exhibition hall. Before a crowd of 100 people, Hank was in the middle of giving a speech. A gold medal with a red band was hanging around his neck, and the spectacles were perched on his vulture-like nose. "Hank!" Ollie called. A sea of heads turned towards him, shocked. Hank's eyes narrowed. "You have something that belongs to me." Hank cleared his throat. "Ahem. Everyone, may I introduce to you my young protégé, Ollie Everett, grandson of my former colleague Augustus Everett. It appears he has come to celebrate my award, but he must have left his manners at home." "Those glasses belong to my grandfather. You need to give them back to me." The crowd gasped and looked up at Hank, confusion on their faces. Ollie marched through the crowd and stood up on the stage to face Hank. "Oh, Oliver," Hank said, laughing. "I'm afraid you're mistaken. Your grandfather left these to me when he passed. They are mine, and mine alone." An old man in suspenders and a bow tie with a flowing white beard stood up from the crowd and spoke. "In all the centuries that the guild has operated, there has been but one way to settle disputes." "Lawrence, surely you don't mean..." Hank said. "Yes," Lawrence bellowed. "A brain battle." The crowd gasped. "A brain battle." Chapter 15. Ollie and Hank stood on the stage, each with a table covered in a white cloth in front of them. Lawrence paced between them. "The rules are simple. Each participant gets the same set of tools and materials. Each gets 15 minutes, and whoever creates the best invention wins. Name your terms, gentlemen." Hank adjusted the spectacles and smiled. Ollie cleared his throat. If I win, you have to give back my granddad's glasses," he said.
And if I win, Hank sneered, I get to keep them, and you must declare in front of the whole guild that I, not your grandfather, am the best inventor of all time.
Deal, Ollie said. The crowd gasped again. This was the most excitement the guild had seen in over 50 years.
Let the brain battle begin,
Lawrence howled, tearing the tablecloths off. Before Ollie, a sprawl of cogs, springs, pipes and wires looked like a dense forest with no way out. To his right, he already saw that Hank's hands were a blur. Thanks to the spectacles, he already had his idea. Ollie felt a tear from his eye. He had no idea what to do with all this stuff. How could he possibly do this without the specs? You don't need them, Ollie. Ollie looked up. It was Emma, but not just her. Beside her was Greta and his dad, cheering him on.
Emma called us and brought us down here, Edward cried. You got this, Ollie.
Go, Ollie, Greta yelled. You're the smartest guy in the world. Ollie smiled and wiped his eyes. Well, if they all thought he could do it. He looked down at the table and it all became clear. He got to work. Chapter 16.
All right, time's up,
Lawrence cried. Ollie wiped the sweat off his brow. He did his best, but he still had no idea if it was good enough. Hank stood there, his arms crossed and a smile on his face. He didn't even break a sweat.
Hank, present your creation first, Lawrence said. Gladly, Lawrence, Hank said. Esteemed members of the guild, I present to you the smart pot.
Hank held out a silver pot with a digital screen on the handle.
My pot will sense the density of the pasta you're boiling and tell you exactly how long left until it's ready.
The crowd murmured excitedly. Ooh, that sounds good. Ooh.
Observe.
Lawrence handed Hank a packet of pasta and a jug of water. Hank filled the pot and poured the pasta in. A soothing digital voice emerged from the pot and said, 17.3 minutes until pasta ready. The crowd clapped and Hank bowed. He looked over at Ollie smugly and mouthed, top that. Ollie's stomach was doing somersaults. He spoke up with a quiver in his voice. Well, mine is called the automatic egg scrambler. Emma's eyes widened. The egg scrambler? Didn't he remember what happened last time? It all clicked for me when I saw a blender and a jug in the items, Ollie continued. They were old, but I could tell they would still be useful. Using the motor from the blender and the heating element from the jug, I've created the best breakfast invention since sliced bread. Lawrence produced 3 eggs from his pockets and passed them to Ollie. Ollie fed them into the funnel and pressed the on button. The machine whirred. It hummed. It started to shake. Emma gulped. She couldn't look. Ollie hung his head. It was happening again. He should never have thought he could have done it without the spectacles. But suddenly, the machine dinged. The nozzle at the front churned out perfectly puffy yellow scrambled eggs onto a plate. Lawrence picked up the plate, pulled a fork out of his pocket and took a bite. After a few chews, he swallowed. Wiped his mouth with a hanky.
These are the best eggs I've ever eaten.
Ollie couldn't believe it. He did it. He made the scrambler work. He heard Emma and his family cheering. Hank's face darkened.
As the guild president, I have reached my decision, Lawrence said. The winner of the brain battle is Ollie Everett!
The crowd erupted in applause. His parents started chanting his name, and soon enough, everyone in the guild had joined in. Ollie! Ollie! Lawrence snatched the glasses from Hank's face. And without a word, he turned and stalked out of the hall. Lawrence handed the glasses over to Ollie, and he held them up like a trophy. He did it. Chapter 17. We just sold the scrambler, Edward cried. Once they got home, Ollie got his dad's help to put the scrambler up for sale. Edward had asked if he wanted to keep it as a memento for his win, but Ollie said he wanted to do something more important. I've been trying to save up enough money to take us all to Calamity Canyon this weekend, Ollie said. And with that sale, we've got enough. Greta screamed and hugged Ollie. I'm so proud of you, Ollie, Edward said. I'll book the tickets now. Make it 5, Dad, Ollie said. We have enough for Emma to come as well. Edward grinned and ruffled Ollie's hair. Emma punched Ollie in the arm playfully and smiled. Well, I'm not going to lie, Ollie. You definitely inspired me, Edward said. I think I'm going to sell my old typewriter. I was going to chuck it out. And let's get us a season pass. Yeah, Greta said. Now what's for dinner? I'm starving. Anything but eggs, Emma said. Laughing, the family and Emma walked upstairs to the dining room. Ollie hung back. He pulled out the Spectral Spectacles out of his pocket and put them back in the glasses case and on the shelf. He smiled at the portrait of his grandpa one last time and then rushed up to join his family for dinner. And that's the end of the story. Ollie and the Spectral Spectacles. Well, that was fun. Well, maybe you and your family can look around at the items in your house and find their hidden potential. Oh, you can also check out the end of the book too with some ideas on how to get started. Well, I'm going to say goodbye now, so goodbye.